ahead and get started. Again, welcome to our October State of the State. I think this is our third State of the State that we've done. We feel like this is a really great opportunity to be able to be transparent with our employees and help them really understand some of the things that are happening. What you're going to hear today is a lot of information. It's very dense, and so you're going to walk away and your head is going to feel very full. But I think it's really great information to help everybody know the direction that we're going. The document that I have up here, who is familiar with this? Raise your hand if you've seen it. Okay, awesome. So this is our strategic pillars. As you're listening to our speakers today, think about which pillar the topic falls into. Again, all of the work that we do is guided and directed by our strategic plan. It's also important for us to recognize our values. If this is a document that doesn't exist in your residential area or your work area, I suggest that you print it out. I think it's a really great tool just to remind people why we're here, the work that we're doing. So again, a great resource for our employees. So many of you know that in June, we lost our visionary, Sister Rosemary Conley. How many of you didn't know Sister Rosemary? Okay. Share a video with you and just give an opportunity for us to kind of reflect on the work that she's done. So we're going to go ahead and cue up the video.
I really am convinced, and have been convinced since I walked into the doors of Misericordia South 50-some years ago, that it's such a special place. I think the fact that I'm surrounded by wonderful people, including the staff, and especially the residents, they're challenging, they're loving, they live life beautifully, and they can be models for us all.
Sister Rosemary offers an invitation to families. The invitation comes, you open it up, and inside of it, it says, "Come and see." Look into the soul and life and character of our residents and the staff members who love and cherish and care for them. Find in there the person that God created them to be.
She's, to me, the most charismatic woman you'll ever meet. She's kind and she's strong and she's compassionate, but at the same time, she's determined, she's driven, and at times defiant. She knew that she wanted the best, independent possible life she could give to these wonderful people that she was called to serve. And she made it happen.
They're generally joyful people, beautiful people, made by God, with a purpose to their lives, no matter how wrapped in mystery their purpose may be.
I think God sent Sister Rosemary here to be an angel for all of us. All my friends adore her because of the wonderful work that she does, because of the wonderful care that she gives. I think it's truly one of the best places on this planet. And I'm truly, truly happy.
My son, Andrew John Myers, was admitted to Misericordia in 2004. It was very difficult for my wife, Bonnie, and I to let go of him. Once he was admitted, my wife developed a glioblastoma, a brain tumor. Normally, one dies of that disease within a year. Fortunately, she lived 3. But on her deathbed, she said to me, "Bob, I'm so grateful that Andrew has been admitted to Misericordia in Sister Rosemary's care with the staff, because I now can die in peace, knowing he has a home."
Sister will be gone 1,000 lifetimes, and they'll sorry, I'm so connected. She'll be remembered for 1,000 lifetimes because she's been the Spirit of Misericordia for a long time, and that is a lasting legacy.
I always felt that God was with me, that God really took care of me. He always even spoiled me by always making the right people in the right place at the right time. I think that's been my secret. It enriches life so much when you're involved with something beyond yourself. It's just been a wonderful journey.
As I mentioned, Sister passed in June, and we all have a very important responsibility to carry on her legacy, and we can do that every day in making sure that we're providing the best care possible so all of our residents feel the way that Terry feels. So I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to Father Jack, who is now our visionary.
I still find it a little creepy when I hear her voice. I think she's asking me what I did wrong or something. You know, it really is an honor to work here at Misericordia and to be in the job I'm in. It's really a blessing. I never thought I'd be doing this, and I'm surprised that I am able to share this time with you. You know, a couple of things I wanted to say as I begin, only because they're important to me. They may seem unimportant, but I say them to every new class as they come in now. Picture yourself in a wheelchair. If you were one of our residents in McGowan or Rosemary Conley or over in Macaulay, picture yourself being one of those people. Now picture yourself having to go to the bathroom really bad and look up and your staff is on their phone, not responding to you. How hard would that be? You know, I look at our wheelchair people and I think, they're the most patient people I've ever met in the world. They have to wait for everything. And then if I'm entrusted with their care and I'm not even paying attention to them because I'm distracted with something else. One of our AVPs got a text one day from one of his residents who said, "My staff doesn't like me. They're always on the phone." Well, if that's the true feeling that the resident has, I really feel bad. You know, and I'm the worst one to be saying this. I don't even carry a cell phone. It drives other people crazy because they can't get a hold of me. But I leave it at my desk. You know, I'm very proud of myself. I go every night to LA Fitness. You need your phone to get in, and half the time I'm giving them my phone number because I forget I don't have my phone with me. I'm not quite as tied to it as other people might be. And I know there's important things that happen, but picture yourself being in the other person's shoes. How important is that phone call that you're getting? Is it really more important than helping someone get to what they need to do or help them to get to where they want to be? You know, so technology is a really good thing, but it can get in the way. We are so tied to our phones now. I laugh when I'm sitting in a restaurant and there's 6 people at a table and 4 of them are texting. And I think, are they texting each other? And even worse, taking pictures of their food. Who wants to see their food? I could care less what someone else is eating. But we're so caught up in this kind of world that it's so important, and it really isn't all that important. It's never as important as interaction with another human being. Interaction with another human being supersedes any of that stuff because it's about who we are, being there for people that we care about. One of the things that we have making a real effort to and spending a lot of money on this coming year possible, but some of our computer programs complain about awards where they're supposed to be tracking everything for the residents. And so we're responding, and we have hired a consulting firm to help us find a better program. One that will meet all the needs that are required of us by the state and by other people, but one that's truly user-friendly. But it's only as expense to do this. I hope each of you will find the time to do your part in it. You know, if you need to take someone's weight, take their weight. It's not the end of the world, and it'll take you 2 seconds to put it in their profile. Whatever it is, it's all about making life simpler and a little bit more touch button, you know. So we're not trying to make it harder, but the reams of paper can get lost so easily. And so we're hopeful this will be something that really helps in terms of our care of the residents. We want you to have a better way. You know, many of the areas we're still doing schedules on paper. And that means you're turning in a little slip of paper that says, I want this date off 3 weeks from now, or I want to go on vacation a month from now for this week. Papers get lost. And so we have bought a program called Shift Wizard. And so someone in your area who does your scheduling will be working on that. I know this doesn't affect the people who are on the same schedule every day, week in and week out. But for those of you that do kind of shift around, you know, one of the goals, the long-term goals, is that we really would like to get to 2 weekends a month instead of 3. But the only way we're going to do that is if we can manage time well. And so I'm encouraging people to tell me, Father, I have no time to supervise. I spend my whole time doing a schedule. Well, that's no way to run a department. So we're making this investment, and we want people to be able to kind of be able to reach out from your own phone, believe it or not, with what you'd like to do, and to be able to look up what's going on. You can be sitting home on your couch and say, oh, what time do I have to be in tomorrow? Or a week from Thursday when somebody calls and says, hey, can we go to dinner? You know, you can look at your schedule. Or if you're trying to make a few extra bucks and you see, oh, there's overtime available, that'll be on there too. Your ability to kind of sign up for something if you want it. So we're doing all these things in hopes of making life a little bit better and a little bit easier. There'll be a number of programs that people talk about as they get up here. But all of them, I hope, I would not want to spend the money on them. I'm not a tech person. But to make life easier and to make things work better. You know, I was very excited when I was talking to the guys down in the new Maslin Center, and they were talking about keeping a profile of every resident that's able and what their exercise routine should be and their weight and everything else. That's a real gift. You pay a fortune for that if you go to LA Fitness, you know. And here we're providing that for our residents. I think that's a real gift. But those are all programs. And that's great that staff is willing to jump in and do that. Because you're the only ones that can make it happen. And I mean that sincerely. You know, we are so grateful that we have all of that at our fingertips. It's a blessing. You know, we're very lucky that we're able to afford a lot of this stuff. It's really difficult. I said to the last group, you know, we gave you a number of raises over the last few years. One of the raises we gave was a year ago, July. The federal government has still not paid us for that. So we have been paying that for what, 17 months now. And we have not received a nickel back from the government. They literally owe us millions of dollars. But we felt that once they passed the law and said this was going to happen, we should give it to you. And so we did it. So we go into savings to do that. And we do continue to do that until the government pays us back. That's just the way life is dealing with the government. You know, they threaten you with, they're going to cut off this and they're going to do that and they're going to do this. But we have to be fair to you. And so we will continue to do that. And, you know, we'll absorb some of the costs, and we'll try to be as fair and as good to you as we possibly can be. I know no one's going to get rich working at Misericordia. You know, that's not why. I hope people aren't here to get rich. You know, that wouldn't be my expectation. But, you know, as long as we can try and meet what people are giving, you know, they're hard decisions. So the government only gives raises to the direct care people. Well, we have another 700 people that work for us that are not in direct care. And every time we give a direct care wage, we give it to everyone else too. And that costs Misericordia. That's money we have to raise. But we feel that you're worth it. You're the ones who make the difference around here. And so we want to continue to try and do the best we can to help you, to make life more enjoyable, and to do our work much easier and faster. So I'm going to ask the other folks to get up and share with you. But I really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for all that you do. You know, my sister was here for a number of years. She always said these were the happiest years of her life. She spent a lot of time in state agencies and other places, and they just were not good experiences for her. But this was great, and thank you to all of you, because you make great lives for a lot of wonderful people who wouldn't have it without you. So thank you, and God bless you all.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. For those that don't know me, my name is Hayes Kennedy, and I am part of the HR team here at Misericordia. I just want to cover off a few slides as we talk about human resources and just some key highlights. You know, as we look through this, a lot of all of you have been very critically involved in some of these successes that I'll touch base on here. One is that Father Jack alluded to the fact that we're sitting at about 1,500 employees. When you think about that, the significant growth that we've seen across Misericordia is amazing. And you know, just to say that from a standpoint, we've hired 365 people since January 1. 365. That's a significant amount of new hires that are coming in, and some of you may be new hires in those classes there, but also part of our role is to make sure that we're terribly inviting of them and making them part of the team and assimilating them to the group and making sure they're feeling welcomed. Because what that helps slow down turnover. That's why people want to stay, is because they like where they're at. And we've seen some significant reductions over time in our turnover rate too, which is critically important, and I'll cover that in a little bit more. The other thing that we've done, you know, with this influx of people that have helped grow Misericordia and serve our residents and meet the growth needs that we have, we've had to really look at our training opportunities and our development opportunities, and we've done a considerable amount of revamp on that and supporting those new folks coming on board, as well as those that have been here and tenured with Misericordia. So a lot of work on that side. The other thing is, you talk about retention. We've always got to be looking at all the various levers that can help with retention. One is engagement. One is making sure that we have an inviting environment. The other one is, if we bring new people on board, one thing the HR team began to notice, as well as the staff development group, is that we are losing a lot of folks in that second week of training. Now, for those that might recall that, the first week you're spent on campus here, and you were here for the whole week going through the first week of training over in the HR area. Second week you went home to work on Infinitec training in front of a computer. And we said, why don't we bring them on campus for that second week, and instead of having somebody sit in front of a computer screen for 8 hours a day doing online training, let's do some online training each day, but also let's get them out into their areas that they're assigned to, again, doing job shadowing, assimilating with the teams that they're going to be working for. And quite frankly, the first two classes that we've done starting in September, but we just wanted to look at it. And lastly, when I say relatively simple to see, I think some of the things that we think may be intuitive, when you get the data and you begin looking at that data, that gives us real-time information so we can see where these trends are, and we can make fast adaptations to that in order to correct some of those challenges that we may be facing and headwinds. As I look here, and Father Jack alluded to that, you know, as you think about one of the areas of HR, and a lot of our area of focus is really around managing our resources. So when you think about those pillars, those strategic pillars, managing our resources, and as you here in 2026 calendar year, is for those that work and interact with the ADP system, probably some of you have experienced a little bit of clunkiness with it, not always easy to navigate, not always easy to use. So one of the charges and challenges that we have is we're going to be looking at a whole new human resources system, an employee portal system that'll be user-friendly, a one-stop shop for you all to go through to get everything from payroll information about yourselves to benefits to enrollment to training, a very easy click and point one-stop shop. And it will be a game changer, I think, for the organization when we ultimately get it implemented. However, it will take time. When you put those major systems implementations, it takes time. But really it's focused on optimizing our processes, making it easier, streamlining, and make it more efficient for us as employees so we can spend more time servicing the residents and less time having to try to navigate a clunky system out there. And so that's one of the big charges. The other big area that we're going to look at around optimizing and so forth is workforce planning. We're at 1,500 employees, and we're going to be growing to probably 1,700 plus here once we finish all the staffing of Rosemary Park and Masillas and so forth. 1,700 employees, significant. So what we want to do is make sure that we've got the right people in the right roles at the right time. So we're going to be looking at the shift scheduling and make sure we've got shifts aligned properly. The right number of staffing per shift, per our standards, but also what we can do to operate and flex. And as we deal with that, the intention is we want to make sure we're reducing those weekends from that three a month to 2 a month, and give people more time to themselves and their families. And also one of the things that we're going to be looking at as part of this overall process is, cost management. Because when we're spending money, it actually is taking away from what can be provided to the residents. So we're going to be looking at our cost structures. We're going to be looking at overtime. I'll be honest, there's a need for overtime in organizations. We just have to make sure that we're managing it appropriately. So we'll be looking at that. Just to show you a couple slides here. This just is a representative slide that shows basically where we were back in September of last year and where we are right now, so you can see the growth in headcount and the growth in our employee base. As you look at this particular slide here, this is just showing a trend line that lays out our growth over a period of time from 2020 through to the current. You can just see it's a positive trend line upward. I would tell you, there are a lot of organizations out there that aren't experiencing growth. They're just experiencing the opposite, and that's contraction. And some of us in here may have actually been in organizations where we've experienced that, and it's not a fun environment to be in. But when you're in an environment that's growing, and growing for a very positive reason, really what it does is it's exciting, because we all get to share in that growth, and that's a healthy organization you want to be with. Notwithstanding, I want to kind of take a look at a couple other things. We talk about turnover, and every organization out there is challenged with keeping great talent. We've done a lot of initiatives from an engagement standpoint, from getting people involved, from really looking at various activities, as well as making sure we're hiring the right people in the right roles and giving them the training and the focus that's necessary. And as you can see here, if you look over on the far left-hand column, there's 2 bar charts on the top. You're looking at voluntary turnover on the bottom, the blue line. That's involuntary turnover. Voluntary is when people leave because they're either finding another job someplace else, they may be moving outside the community, but they're choosing on their own accord to leave the organization. And then involuntary kind of speaks for itself. People either self-select out and say, this isn't the right job for me, or there's other challenges that we may have to address. And we don't want those, but obviously that happens in organizations. But as you can see what this chart has done over time, and as we've closed since last year, you can see that gap between voluntary and involuntary has dropped considerably, where they're almost equal, in addition to the overall turnover dropping. So what that is saying is that less people are choosing to leave that are coming in to the organization. And that's healthy. That's what we want to make sure we continue to build on. And quite frankly, all of us play a role in that. As new folks come into your areas, open them up with welcome arms and make sure they feel invited. Give them the help that they need, give them the assistance. Remember the day when you first walked in and didn't realize what was going on and you were kind of lost. Help them find their path, and that's all of our role to play in that. So thank you for doing that. And I guess I need to talk, I mentioned turnover and I mentioned overtime. As we look at turnover, another reason why we want to reduce it is if you look on this chart, this actually does a calculation where it tells you here's what your turnover is, and here is the cost that the organization is experiencing with respect to turnover. Said differently, if we're having to spend $4.6 million in re-recruitment, training, having to fill gaps without people in positions, with overtime, so forth, what that does is that's cost that's going out of the organization that can't be spent helping improve our workplaces, but also serving the residents, and that's the most important thing. So we want to make sure we're being very prudent with our dollars, look at that, and try to control those pieces, and we all play a role in that. The other one right here is really looking at overtime. I mentioned that. And I'm just showing this slide here, and you'll see the two circles and the arrows. What this is really saying is, through our current fiscal year, we have spent our budget for 2026-27 versus last year. So we've got to really take a look. And there's a variety of reasons for that, and we're looking at all that, but we're just going to have to really tighten up and make sure we're controlling our overtime costs and spend, and we're being very fruitful and prudent about it. Overtime is important to a lot of people. It's not to say we're eliminating it, but it is saying that we're going to have to take a look and make sure that we're being thoughtful about it as well. So, that's an exercise that's going to be happening. And I always mention this to the other group too. If you take that turnover cost plus the overtime cost that we have, for anybody that had been involved in Candy Days as an example, and the money that we raised through Candy Days for Misericordia, in order to cover the cost of these two areas, we'd have to have 3 more Candy Days this year of equal size and draw in order just to cover that cost. Said differently, if we want to put the Candy Days and those types of, when we're getting those types of programs out there to bring in money to from organizations to support Misericordia, we want to make sure it's going to the residents, it's going to the organization, and not just kind of being spent like this. So there's a reason for us to want to do that. And lastly, I just want to share this slide. We're getting ready, and it starts, I believe, on the 16th, is our annual enrollment. You may have seen it. It's been in Campus Connections and so forth as an announcement. But I want to call out 2 things. This slide is very busy, so don't pay attention to it. You'll get a chance to see it in the enrollment materials, but on the far right-hand corner, we're introducing a 5th option, a 5th medical plan for employees, and it may fit some people's needs. That option is a high-deductible plan, and in that plan, if those that elect that plan, there will be no cost premium that the employee pays for that plan offering. So it'll be a no-cost medical plan option. In addition to that, we're going to be rolling out a health savings account where you can take pre-tax dollars and put it into an account, deductions into an account, and those dollars can be paid to pay things like out-of-pocket expenses, over-the-counter medications, things of that nature at a pre-tax basis, which saves you and I, if we're enrolled in it, money because we're paying for something that hasn't been taxed, and that's a good thing. And the last thing is with respect to our 401k, we're going to be offering a new plan option, and that's what's called a Roth Roth IRA. And the Roth option may fit some people's needs very well, but what it does is it, instead of taking your dollars out and putting them into your 401k account pre-tax, it takes it out post-tax. And when you do ultimately retire and pull from that account, any growth that you've had from those dollars that you put in through the investment is paid out without taxation. So you see the full value without any tax liability coming out of that on that Roth option. So it is something for folks to try to consider and take a look at. So with that, thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for making the time to come here today. Obviously, my name is Steve Achilles, and you can read that, and I'm responsible for the businesses here. And my role really is about 3 things. And the first one is creating jobs for our residents. We live in a society where work matters. Work matters a lot. Our residents see their families, members, their parents, their siblings get up and go to work. And work is a place where it's unlike much of the rest of Misericordia, there's a lot of challenges, right? And there's learning new skills. And it's a unique opportunity for our residents to have a full life. And if you think back to our mission statement, that's why we're here. So the second part of that is running those businesses well, right? So we're making good use of our resources. Think about the pillars that Gina talked about. And the third part of that is marketing, sharing our message outside of our community across greater Chicagoland, Illinois, and beyond. So those are the three parts of the job. So one thing that I want to do, because I know I've seen quite a few bakery people here, I've seen a cafe person here, so if you're from the bakery or the cafe, can you stand up, please? A part of running businesses is bringing in new customers, is growing, and growing the businesses so we can create more jobs. And just this week, we were able to secure a contract with an organization called Love from USA. And the thing that closed the deal, the reason I want them to stand up, is when they got a chance to come in and taste some of the products that we had. They're talking to tons of bakeries across Chicago. I got a phone call 2 days later that said, we want to work with you because nobody's products are as good. So, thank you all. Starting next week, if you are traveling, if you're at O'Hare in Terminal 5, please stop by the kiosk. It's going to be across from the Chick-fil-A. Get your chicken sandwich and get a brownie, get a cookie or something for your flight. So part of the business is obviously the employment piece. And we've got some, we've started pulling the data and looking at it. And, for the month of September, we've got 80 folks working in the businesses. It's not nearly enough. And this is one of our big goals for improvement. What we've seen in the few months that we've been tracking the data is we've got, as we go through the transition in the businesses, we see fewer people working, but they're also working about 11% more hours. So we've got some work to do in terms of creating more jobs, but we're doing a good job of the folks who are there getting to increase their hours. The businesses at Misericordia have been around anywhere from, over a decade to 3 years. And we've really gone through kind of a long learning process. And that process is over. We're now in the growing process. So if we take a look at our revenue compared to last year across the business, it's up about 18% across all the businesses, and we expect that to continue. And as we grow the businesses, why do we grow the businesses? For two reasons. First, fiscally, we need the additional revenue to support our mission, to support you, and to support our residents. But also, how are we going to create more jobs if we don't get more revenue? So that's where our focus is. And then the next year or two, we'll turn more to strengthening the businesses as we grow the revenue. And that focus will be on more creating better jobs, getting our residents ready for jobs in the community, able, as well as contributing positively to the financials for Misericordia. So as we look at the businesses, we need to do three things. And these are things that you've heard from other folks. First is we need to strengthen our people. We've got a lot of development work to do and create training opportunities and taking use of the resources that we have from HR and elsewhere to help grow our folks. We also need to do a better job of recruiting and training and supporting our residents in their employment journey and also working with our volunteers. Volunteers are a huge part of our businesses. And we haven't, frankly, done a great job of supporting them, and that's something that we need to do. Technology, everybody who gets up here almost today, with maybe one exception, is going to talk about technology. There'll be new point of sale systems, so if you interact with businesses, we're going to be able to provide better discounts for staff, notify you when there's sales for staff and other groups. And we're also going to be changing our website, and Scott will talk a little bit more about that, but if you've ever tried to buy anything on our website today, don't. It's so hard. And that's all going to be changing next week. We're also changing that for the foundation, and then project will then be updated in early 2026. And of course, processes, right? Like any organization, we've got to get better at processes. And number one is resident employment. We need to do a better job of recruiting and getting our folks ready. I talk about that a lot, but that's critical for our businesses being successful. If you take a look at the organizations around the country who have really significant resident employment opportunities, the amount of expertise they take into training, recruiting, is something that sets a bar that we need to rise to. So the care here is as good as anywhere in the country. People all over the country know the name Misericordia, and we want the work experience to be on the same level as the care that you guys provide today. Forgive me. I saw the error of my ways and came to the nonprofit world, but I do have numbers, right? So the first thing we want to do is improve the finances by $800,000. That's a significant thing that we need to contribute to this organization. Most importantly, we need to create more residents. 18%. I'm kind of glad Father Jack stepped out. I think I sandbagged on this goal, but we should be able to do a little better than 18% by the end of the year. We're going to begin our marketing efforts in selling that message, telling this incredible story. And then finally, we want to continue to grow Misericordia leaders. One of the things businesses have done best through the years is growing people who've gone on to take leadership roles elsewhere in the organization, and we want to see more of that. So those are the 4 things that we're working on for this year. And with that, I will pass the torch to Natalie.
Hey, hi. Thank you all for being here. So I'm going to talk a little bit about critical tools. I know Father Jack kind of opened it up to talking about some of the technology that we are bringing on within the organization. Okay, so I'm going to talk about 3 critical new pieces of technology that we are bringing on. So the first one, that top there, is called AMS Connect. As a health-related organization, we have the responsibility to ensure that our residents' health information, when we are communicating with each other, is done in a platform that is encrypted and secure. Just like all of us, our own health information should always be kept secure. So what we were doing previously, though, in our ability to make our communication a little bit more efficient, is we did a lot of texting, right? And that feels very natural. But rather than continue to do that, because that is over a pathway that is not secure, we've adopted a program called AMS Connect. It can be used that have been authorized to use it. So predominantly we use it when we're talking about health-related information. So some of our leaders, our supervisors, some areas in the provision of our DSPs, because of the sort of segregated nature of their homes, the ability to communicate in a secure way is really critically important. A lot of our clinical areas, so nursing, therapy, dietitians, behavioral therapy, anyone who is going to be communicating this type of information, it needs to be done over AMS Connect. This has been rolled out with partnership from Scott and Thomas McManus from IT, and all of you who have really sort of stood behind us and adoption. This has been rolled out and is being utilized every day, so thank you. Next. Father Jack touched on it a little bit. So ShiftWizard is an electronic, cloud-based scheduling system. There's a lot of change going on within Misericordia, but if you think about the fact that Misericordia existed on the south side and then came to the north side, that's a lot of change that occurred in the past. Most of you, everyone has been wonderful in terms of the training. This is a bigger lift than the first program that I talked about. But again, support from Scott and his team, and Bilal and Chris Santano, as well as Lauren Lynn, and also working with all of you. We are about 3/4 done with our rollout in terms of bringing all the areas live on the scheduling system. What has been really impressive is I've had the opportunity to, when we're doing training with the staff, is just how quickly you adopt it. I'm working with someone else, and someone else is 10 steps ahead of me. So at the level of our staff ability to use it, it's very, very simple. And like Father Jack mentioned, you can be at home, and when the schedule opens, you can, on your couch, request all the shifts that you're requesting to work. It offers also a lot of instant communication. You can swap shifts with each other. Granted, these all need to be approved, but we don't have to do this at work and find our supervisor and request those things. It's a bigger lift for a lot of our areas, our supervisors and directors, but I want to say, Jessica Disbro, Lynn, you guys are killing it. A lot of areas have gone live already, and again, it takes time. I would ask for patience. We are essentially in our second, for some areas, our first template of 6-week schedule. Some areas are in their second round. Generally, by the third round is when we really start to see it become a little bit more hardwired. So we're going to get there. I ask for your patience. I want to applaud everyone on how well you're doing so far, and we're going to just continue to hopefully fine-tune that process. Okay. And the last thing I want to talk about is a transition to a new resident care system, or EMR, however you relate to it. Awards is our current system. And I think in using that system for the last several years, we've found that it maybe doesn't quite fit some of the needs that we need, especially with the size of our organization and the growth that we're experiencing. So we've partnered with a consulting firm called A&M. And at this stage, what they are doing, and they've done in the last week, is as the steering committee, the vice president team identified key roles and key individuals within the organization that A&M Consulting has met with. We need to understand what you need. How does this system need to work for you? And so we want to make sure that this search is inclusive. Several people have been interviewed. The next steps is that they are going to go out and search for vendors that can help support us. At that point, we will have a scoring criteria, and then we will select a new system. There's not that fits everyone's needs. So there's going to be compromise. It may be one system, it may be two that we need to connect. But that is still, we're still going to find that out. I think the other major part of this rollout, which is probably going to be a very, very intensive rollout, is just going to be the way that we roll it out, how we stage it. We have to make sure that we set it up for success. And so making sure that you have the tools you need to do documentation in an easy and reliable way. So again, as Father Jack mentioned, and I think a lot of my peers have talked about today, our goal is to ensure you have the tools you need to do the work that you need to do, make scheduling a little bit easier, and ensure that we are maintaining confidentiality around our residents and their health information. So please be patient, be open. Everyone has been wonderful so far, and we will just continue to move forward. That's it. Thank you.
I'm Scott Thompson. I lead the IT team here at Misericordia. We have an opportunity to participate in many of the technology initiatives you've heard about today. I'm going to talk about a couple other ones that are going on which hopefully will benefit you. The first one is the help desk. We've launched a new help desk tool with Chris Centeno leading the way on the team. He leads the help desk team. And we're really trying to make sure we can get resolve your issues and help you be successful with technology as quickly as possible. The team generally works Monday through Friday first shift, but this is a 7x24 place. So it's a tool you can get at online. There's an icon on the desktop and on iPads, and it gives you an opportunity to enter the information that we need to be able to support you so that we can get your issues resolved as quickly as possible. So we'd encourage you to use that tool. I joke that there's a number of people that still call Ron when there's an issue. It's time to switch over and use the help desk tool, so thank you for that. We also have a new staff directory. This is a link that's on the desktop that has everyone's, all employees' phone number and email address. So if you need to get a hold of someone, you can search by their name or the department, narrow it down, and find the person you need to talk to and get a hold of them. We have now got everyone at Misericordia with an email address, and our goal is going on 7x24, so we set everyone up with an email address. We've got iPads and desktop computers in locations. Hopefully you can access it, and we'd encourage you to access it because it's a lot of things happening, a lot of information that's shared, campus connection through there, and we hope you can use it. Two other things that are coming up. We are replacing our back office business system, the system that pays the bills and makes sure that we get reimbursed by the state and government for our work. So that's an important system. Most of you don't interact with that on a daily basis. There will be a couple of changes around things like expense reports and how we order internal supplies, but those will be rolling out next year. This will hopefully make it a lot easier for things like expense reports. So you can take a picture of the receipt and it'll be tied in for those of you who work with residents and take them out and spend some of their funds. It'll give you the ability to more easily say, divvy this restaurant bill up between multiple residents and Misericordia staff. And finally, we're updating the Misericordia website. Steve mentioned that we're changing the e-commerce portion of it. That'll be launching next week. So it'll make it easier to purchase things, but we're replacing the entire website with new technology and giving it a refresh look, and hopefully it's really the interface that lets the public know how to help support us, whether that's buying cookies or donations or volunteering, but it's critical that that's an effective tool to let people know how to support us, and we'll be renovating that in the first quarter of next year. So thank you. Next up, program updates.
Hi everyone, I'm Kristen Strong, the director of the Moore and Maslin Center, and this is Jordan Atkins, the supervisor for resident events. We're here just to talk a little bit about resident program updates. So we are the non-technological part of this presentation today. Thank you. Okay, so here are some pictures of our new updates down at the Maslin Center. So all the construction is finished. That first picture is of the Maslin Center weight rack. The middle is of the pool, which has all of its programs up and running again. Pretty soon we'll be seeing aqua yoga and aqua Zumba classes. And then the third picture is the mini golf course, which officially opened on Family Fest Day. So all the areas on campus have been using it and really loving it. So hopefully we have another week or two to get out there and enjoy it. The Maslin Center is 3 times the size of the previous fitness room. Can you go to the next slide, please? So here are some pictures of our residents enjoying the new space. It is so much bigger that we have twice the amount of equipment. We have more adaptive equipment. We also have a lot more room for people to navigate the space in their wheelchairs or in their therapy bikes. So that's been a really exciting update. And then the old fitness room has been repurposed into a yoga, dance, and stretch room. So we're very excited about that as well. Stop by and see it if you haven't. One last thing. There has been a lot of really great communication and collaboration. Residents and staff were very flexible throughout all of this construction. But we do want to use this as an opportunity to refresh the expectations. So all residents and staff are expected to participate while they're there, which means no backpacks, no snacks, no food, no drinks besides water, and no phones. It sounds very strict, but our purpose there is to have meaningful, productive activities and to role model that for the residents and for each other. So please help us with that. Thank you.
Hello everybody, I'm Jordan Atkins. I'm the supervisor of resident events. Resident events is a new department that started in February of 2025. Its primary goal is to increase large-scale events for our residents on campus, whether it be live music events, concerts, or seasonal holiday parties, and to further promote and improve resident participation in past programs that have happened on campus, like music bingo, sing-along, movie night, or on campus, like auto shows, music and art series in the Macaulay Rotunda that just started very recently. We have lots of upcoming events that are happening, and I'm not going to read through all those, but if you do check in the Campus Connections, they do a wonderful job of posting all of the different events that we have on campus. And you can click on the individual flyers for that, or talk to your area reps who will give you information about that. And the things that we have upcoming are Mulligan Stew Irish Music Concert for tomorrow night, Noah Janek's Puppetry for the Macaulay Music and Art Series, that's happening on Saturday. And then we're gonna have movie night, The Nightmare Before Christmas on Sunday night in this wonderful auditorium. So thank you, everybody.
Okay, according to schedule, I have 6 minutes to tell you all of this information, so I'm going to go really fast. So first of all, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Gina Conley. I oversee our social services, our admissions, all of the behavior supports, including counseling, and then I also work with communications and our culture ambassadors. So just to give you a little bit of an update on where we're at today, in 2025, we've admitted 21 individuals. While that does not seem significant, I think the important part is to look at the number of transfers that we've had. Every resident that's transferred on campus is really being considered a new admission. And why is that? Because they're moving to a new home, to a home that has a different schedule, a different look, a different feel, new staff, new activities. It's all brand new. And so each of these 78 transfers have been handled very individually, and that's incredibly important. The impact of these transitions for our people are significant, and we want to make sure that they have time to acclimate and that they really get the attention and care. Our counseling department is very involved in providing transition groups for these individuals to help them cope as they move to new homes. The other thing to mention is that in the month of October, we will have 138 observations. That is huge. So I'm going to get to that in just a second because this is really important. I also want to mention that our applicant pool continues to grow. We get ahead and then we don't. And we get 6, 7, 8 more applications every week. So it's clear that the work that you are all doing, the word is out, you're doing a great job, right? Families want Misericordia. And so, of course, we want to make sure that when we're bringing in people, we're bringing in people that fit in the right environment with peers and with staff. So I was at the IRF conference with some of the staff and got to spend 3 days with them, went out to dinner, and just had a great time being able to have conversation. And through that conversation, I realized not everybody knows how people get admitted to Misericordia. So real quickly, when someone calls and asks to receive an application, we actually do an intake right there to identify, are we able to meet this individual's needs? There is some criteria that we use. If an individual is completely independent, they don't need staff supervision, they're not going to be appropriate for Misericordia. So we rule people out initially. If they're appropriate, we go ahead and send an application. We ask for records. Those might be medical records, school records. Once we have that information, we assign them to a preliminary area based on that information. So for example, if someone seems to sort of fit with the village group, they would be assigned to the village coordinator. We then set up an interview with the individual and their family, and we're going to ask very specific questions, medical questions, how did they get up in the morning, all of the things that we need to know to really understand a little bit more about that person and to identify, is this the right setting? Do we have the right staffing structure for this person? Once we're sure that is correct, we then start the observation process. And so I want to talk a little bit about this because this is really what's impacting all of you, but it's also impacting other stakeholders as well. First of all, I want to see a show of hands. How many of you have ever seen an All About Me book? Wow, that was a better response than the last time. That's awesome. Okay, can I ask, does anybody want to tell me what is the purpose of an All About Me book? I have a prize for you. Someone raise your hand and I will give you a prize if it is correct. Okay, go ahead.
It's to get to know who the resident is, what they like, dislike.
Absolutely.
I've seen things from movies, from the activities they enjoy, from things that they're sensitive to.
It's all the information that tells you all about them, all the little details. And that is a very incredible resource because it actually allows you to build a relationship with a person. So when you have somebody coming to your area for an observation, that is the first thing. When you walk onto your shift, you should say, where's that All About Me book? I know that Carol is coming today for an observation and I want to get to know her. What I want to mention is for many of our people coming in, it is the first time that they're away from home. They're being introduced to a whole new experience. Some of them don't quite even understand why they're there because sometimes families don't feel comfortable sharing that with them. That might come down the road, right? And so that's very scary for them. Walking in the first day and they're wondering, who are these people? What am I doing here? And are my mom and dad going to come back? What's happening, right? So we need to be really sensitive, and so that All About Me book is an opportunity for you to build that relationship, to help them feel comfortable in their setting. For our families, dropping their child off that first day is hard. They are entrusting their child, their loved one, to all of you to say, please take care of them, keep them safe. It's scary. So we need to be welcoming, we need to reassure them, we need to introduce ourselves, give them some comfort that you're there for the right reasons and that you're going to take care of that individual and make sure that they have a great experience. The other thing I want to mention, though, is that this also impacts our employees, right? This is hard. This is not easy stuff. And when I say we have 138 observations happening in the month of October, that's not going to stop until we get our 150 plus individuals admitted. So information that you need. What can we do to help you in this experience? Because you are key in letting us know if this individual is correct for the setting that we want to hear from you. So you'll be seeing a survey soon. The other thing is we have to recognize that this also impacts the current residents, right? They're wondering, who is this person coming? Last week we had someone else. And so you're going to try to provide them reassurance and remind them that they're new friends and that we're going to be kind and we're going to be welcoming and help them remember that they also walked in those footsteps. So we are being very intentional about our observation process. It's not easy. We know it's not easy on you guys. You're trying to take care of the current residents and then you have a new individual coming in and it takes time to get to know every single person. Just to give you a quick update, as far as Rosemary Park goes, we have 8 of the 16 homes licensed. Half of the census currently exists in each of the homes. We admitted our first new individual from the outside yesterday. So that means all of the people that live there, with the exception of that individual, are all individuals that have transferred because their needs are changing. And we know that we haven't been able to have a formal open house, and so we wanted to offer this. Okay, so again, isn't that great to see how happy the residents look? A really cute story. We had an individual that recently moved from Mercy Glen over to Rosemary Park and is now living with somebody who used to live in Besser, and that individual signs. And so Matt actually reached out and asked if he could get sign language classes so that he could communicate with his new friend. So isn't that special? So, okay. I know I'm keeping you over. Thank you for your patience. Real quick before I go into the announcements, do we have any birthdays? Okay, so for those of you that don't know, every year at our holiday meal, we do a service award recognition, and so the nominations are opening up. Those will be due November 1st. This is an opportunity to recognize one of your peers in how they live out the Misericordia values. November is Gratitude Month. We are going to have a food truck. The t-shirt orders are due by 5 o'clock today. Not changing that, so if you haven't ordered it, please do by 5 o'clock today. Where are you able to find that order? What? Campus Connections. You win a pumpkin as well. We're going to be doing gratitude grams, and the culture ambassadors are going to be doing an organizational-wide initiative. Also for culture ambassadors, we're going to be opening up those applications. So if you're interested in some of the appreciation events and some of the different cultural activities, consider applying for the culture ambassadors. Every year, Misericordia generously provides turkeys to any of our staff that are interested, and those will be available November 20th. You do have to order them, so it's important that you place your order. There will not be additional turkeys available. The same thing will happen for hams. I don't have a date for that, and that will be for Christmas. Our holiday meal, as I mentioned, December 18th, we'll be putting out a survey and asking what the menu will be, and so that's whatever option wins, that's what will be served at the meal. So make sure you read Campus Connections, make sure you vote so that you can have your choice for that holiday meal. And then the last thing that's not up here I wanted to mention, for anyone that's been here 10 years or longer, raise your hand. Okay, we'll see you all at our 10-year staff dinner in April, so be looking for those invitations as well. We are not doing feedback forms here. You'll be able to do that in Campus Connections. We want your feedback, hear topics that you're interested in, so we can build that into each of these State of the States. The next State of the State will be April 2026. So thanks everybody for coming, and have a great day.